fewer African Americans or Black or brown people are in sustainability?
Well, I have a theory, and I don't know if it's right.
I have a theory too.
Okay, so my theory is systematically, culturally, and economically, we don't have the opportunity to care about the environment as much because we're so under-resourced, we're so underserved, we're still catching up.
Hello. Welcome back to Flourish or Fold, Stories of Resilience. I am here with Ya Fav Trashman, Terrill Haigler. Did I say that right? Was Haigler right?
Yeah, you said it perfect. Hi, how are you?
Welcome to the show. We've already had so much fun before we pressed record.
This is only up from here. It's only up from here.
It's only up from here. It's only up from here. So full acknowledgement, Terrill already knows this. For anyone listening, we've got some pets in the room today. I've got my dog and my cat. So if you see any pets walking around on screen or making noise, I was really feeling in the spirit of the first practice of particularly resilient people of vulnerability and authenticity to like have the pets in the room so you can really see what's going on here. So get a little glimpse into life and podcast recording. So Terrill, I'm going to just start us right off. I love everything that you're doing. Your work is fascinating. You are changing the way that we think about sanitation workers and the true importance and essentialism of what it means to be in a clean environment. Yes. But before you became, and we'll talk about that, before you became Ya Fav Trashman, my fave Trashman, tell us about a challenge that you faced that has most significantly formed you into the person, into the man you are today.
Okay. As I told you before, I have a theater background. So I'm a classically trained dancer. I've been acting. I can't sing at all, so I never try. But the theater that I trained at in Philadelphia called Freedom Theater, there was a really popular play called Black Nativity. And I think I auditioned for Black Nativity like maybe 4 or 5 times. And I never made the show. Never. Whether I was too young, like the right time, I never made the show. And as soon as you asked me that question, it hit me as like the lesson I took from never making that show. It wasn't the fact that I wasn't good enough. It wasn't the fact that, it was all the fact that I never gave up auditioning. No matter what. At the 4th time, the 5th time, I knew that I, was just trying my best and I never gave up auditioning. So as a father, I never give up, auditioning as a dad for my kids. I never give up auditioning as a productive citizen in society. I never give up. So like that always resonates with me. And I hold that really high in my life that no matter how many times, I may not get what I want, or I feel like I'm not reaching my full potential. As long as I show up to the audition, there's a possibility I could get the job. That's how I like to structure my life. And are you, Terrill, just showing up? That the famous saying, you miss every shot you don't take.
Yeah.
I am definitely a shot taker. Sometimes I pull the gun too early.
What What does it mean you pull the gun too early?
So I have a saying when I talk to people that there's two type of people in life. There are people who learn how to fly and then jump off the cliff, and then there are people who jump off the cliff and learn how to fly on the way down. I am the latter most of the time. I am just see an opportunity, jump, may not have a clear cut plan, may not be have all my ducks in a row. But to me, starting is more important than figuring it out.
Mhm.
Because people will figure things out and never start.
Mm.
So I love to start something and I'm just if I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna start it. And then because of how my brain works, I have to finish it. So I may
Mhm.
not have it all figured out, but if I start it, I'm gonna finish it.
Mm. Do what you say you will do.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
powerful.
And it's a promise to yourself. It's literally to me that's a form of self love. Telling yourself and saying I'm going to do this for me, and then actually doing it is a confirmation to yourself that you deserve it. You know what I mean? So I don't ever want to say, oh, I want to end up on this TV show, but never work towards getting on that TV show. And subconsciously you tell yourself you don't deserve it.
Mhm.
I will DM somebody on Instagram and just be like, well, I said I wanted to be on the show and I did my pitch. I showed up. I auditioned. I didn't get it, but I showed up. And it's enough value and showing up than there is in getting the job. To me, that's my truth. But
Yeah, I love that. Um, I was thinking about while you were talking, something that I like to say or something that's resonated with me that's aligned with or adjacent to your truth, which is this idea that failure is an answer, right? Um, whether we consider it to be, failure or not, or sort of how we characterize that. So failure is an answer. Success is an answer, but not trying is a lifetime of not knowing.
yeah, I so agree. I so agree. And see, my brain went to not trying is an excuse,
Mm,
crutch.
hmm.
You find like more times than not, people find reasons not to do something because they're
Hmm.
scared, because of fear, because of outside noise. You got other people telling you it's not going to work. And I mean, literally, my life has been like the last almost 2 years of my life have been an example of your surroundings, your circle, your situation can change overnight.
Mm,
Literally, like that is my truth. I mean, I've had some extreme highs, I've had some extreme lows, but
hmm.
um all I gotta do is show up
Hmm. Hmm.
and God will take care of the rest.
I love what you said about keeping a promise to yourself is a form of self-love and not giving up on yourself. And you mentioned, in sort of like the past, kind of period of time, um, that you've had some high highs, you've had some low lows. Do you want to talk about what some of those high highs and low lows have been for you and how you've navigated that from the place of showing up for the audition, whether you get it or not?
Yeah, for sure. I think the lowest for me was losing my mother.
Mm,
Yeah, yesterday, November 1st, yesterday makes a year since my mother passed.
yeah.
And so, I mean, she's for my whole life, she's always been my support system, my safety net, and my cannon. She's always pushed me and propelled me and always made sure that I knew that I deserved to be wherever I was.
Mhm.
So losing someone like that in the middle of growing your fave trash man and discovering what your fave trash man could be, it really hurt. But she gave me an assignment. She gave me a task and I have to complete the task. So, there's a lot of moments when I receive awards or I do things like this, or I go places and I find myself taking pictures by myself. And
Mm.
it reminds me like she would be here.
Mhm.
Phys- she would be here physically,
Mhm.
but she's there, she's here spiritually. But all of those moments for me, they hurt a little. They hurt a little.
Sure.
Mother's Day is different from me. Christmas is different from me. I have three kids who talk to other kids and like, oh yeah, I'm going out with my grandma this weekend. It's just like, my 10-year-old daughter's like, must be nice. Like I don't have the privilege to do that anymore.
Right.
But then you talk about a high. Um, January 4th, 2020, I was doing a double shift as a sanitation worker for the streets department. January 4th, 2021, I was on the south lawn of the White House for a private barbecue. So throughout that span of a year, my life shifted. So those are all those are like two examples of like a high for me, being on the south lawn of the White House a year exactly of doing a double shift, 12-hour shift as a sanitation worker. But in a year, I was able to shift my life. And then like losing my mother, and still being able to show up for myself and still audition, just knowing that she's not here physically, but she's here spiritually. Another high would be um, just being able to start a grassroots movement solely on Instagram. When I first started the Instagram, I was like, I'll get 500 followers. I'll tell a few jokes, post a few pictures of what it's like to be a sanitation worker. And here I'm at 28,000 followers, and realizing that I have a voice, I have a platform, I speak for people. People want to speak through me, and just social media influencer, and I, it leads to other things. I just wrote a children's book, and I just got picked up by a literacy agent. So now they're going to be pitching my book to like, and this is all in almost 2 years.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
just like, but I understand it's because I went to that audition 2 years ago, and now this is happening. I showed up for myself 2 years ago, so I've laid that foundation, I've laid that groundwork. So
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us, Terrell, for the people who aren't familiar with you and Ya Fav Trashman movement, tell us about sort of what the progression of that has been for you. That I know your story, not every detail, so I'm excited to learn more. And I think your story is absolutely fascinating around you getting hired as an essential worker and what happened next.
yeah, so I got hired December 30th, 2019.
Mhm.
March 2020, COVID hit.
Right.
And so 3 months into the job, we weren't deemed essential until COVID hit, by the way.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
3 months into the job, 30% more trash on the ground, 300 sanitation workers contracting COVID and testing positive and quarantining. We were like 4 days behind in Philadelphia. I mean, trash piled up to the wazoo. Kids can't ride their bike down the street, and it's in the middle of the summer with 110-degree weather.
I remember those days in Philadelphia. Absolutely.
Like horrible, horrible. And all of the articles are saying sanitation workers were lazy. They were this, they were abusing time. It was this, and all of these things. And again, we didn't have a voice. There was no one speaking up and saying, this is what actually is happening. And again, me being me and me being like, hold on, I'm not taking no responsibility for anybody else. I can be responsible for me. I was like, there has to be a way to shed a light, and there has to be a way to shift perspective on what we're going through. And so that's where the Instagram came from. And I just started posting pictures of daily things we were going through, daily things that were happening, getting to a pile that had 90 bags, needles and glass and this and that and no bags tied and raw food and animals and possums and rats and raccoons. And from there, it just started growing and started growing and started growing. I think it really caught on when in the middle of the summer, we were so far behind and there was no communication from the streets department on what was going on. I was doing daily updates. I would go, hey, Philadelphia, in the real world, it's Friday. But in the trash world, it's Tuesday. And literally everybody who had their trash day on Tuesday would run and pick their stuff out. And we were able to catch up because Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday would then hold their trash in. So it's not sitting out for 4 or 5 days. And then I started selling t-shirts because I realized it was the truck, how we were spreading the virus so fast because there was no cleaning supplies. We had no proper PPE. So I started selling t-shirts and raised $32,000 in 4 weeks to buy PPE and cleaning supplies for the whole department. He was able to spread it out. And from there, it just kept growing and growing. And I realized this January, a main reason why Philadelphia is so dirty is because of all the litter, all the illegal dumping. So I wanted to use my platform for good. So I started organizing neighborhood cleanups, especially in brown and black neighborhoods, because I realized those are the neighborhoods that, if you clean, the statistics show that if you clean in a neighborhood and you take a vacant lot and you clean it and you make it a green space, it reduces crime by 29%.
Absolutely true. It's the broken window principle or something like that, right?
Yeah, broken window. Yeah. So and UPenn just did another study on it. So I'm just like, this makes sense. So I started, and then I was like, think outside the box. So I started reaching out to elected officials, like, hey, your district is dirty. I have 20,000 followers on Instagram. I'm going to tag you in this post, and I want to see if you show up for the cleanup. And they started showing up. And just throughout the whole summer and this year, I've done like 33 cleanups. I've picked up over 130 tons of trash, and we do it in a fun way. We have a DJ out, and we have volunteers, and we had snacks and foods, and so it's become a thing where every Saturday I was doing a cleanup, here in Philadelphia, and that's kind of where the platform is now. I do cleanups as Ya Fav Trashman. I started a nonprofit to be a hub of resources for those communities and zip codes that need it. So I've done expungement clinics and food drives and coat drives and job fairs and financial literacy workshops. And I have an app out right now with my business partner, Morgan Berman. It's called Glitter, Zero Litter, Don't Litter, Make the City Glitter. And the app is actually paying people a living wage to clean the neighborhoods they're already in.
Wow.
Yeah, I wrote a children's book
Yes.
called I'm Cool Too, just shedding a light. And this the real conversations me and my children had about why sanitation workers are essential to the community and why we have to stop littering now. So
Yes.
yeah,
I wanted to ask you about your children's book. I
yeah,
love the title. I'm
yeah.
cool too.
Thank you.
And you wrote this book to teach children about how essential sanitation workers are
Yeah.
and to encourage kids to not litter and to be part of cleaning up their environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you have a 4-year-old telling you every single day to stop littering, you're gonna do it. You don't want to hear it. You're gonna stop. So
Our kids are basically the boss of us.
literally, I have a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 5-year-old.
Don't tell them I said that.
Literally, no, my 5-year-old already knows. She should be claiming me on her taxes. That's yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, the children's book is so fun. It's so bright, and it has such a message about being responsible, but then also just acknowledging human beings. For a long time, I didn't feel human as a sanitation worker. I felt like a job. I felt like people just looked at us and was like, as long as you get the can, that's all that matters. And I was like, you don't understand the 12 miles that I walk every day. You don't understand dealing with COVID. You don't understand that I I haven't seen my kids in 6 weeks, and it's March and April because we don't know what COVID is doing, and asthma runs heavy. Like you don't know that I'm getting poked by needles or stepping on nails, and you don't see that. You don't think about that side. So we can start them at a really early age, acknowledging the human side and acknowledging the fact that without these sanitation workers, our city would really stop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I love that.
as you grow older, and then the last thing is that when my son said, like, why do you have to be a sanitation worker? Why couldn't you be a cop or a firefighter or this or that? And I was like,
Fair question. Fair question.
and I was like, but my job is just as cool. You just don't know. So now if my son wants to grow up and be a sanitation worker, I want it to be cool, but I also want it to be, equitable. Like I want it to make sense. I want them to have great pensions. I want them to have good pay. I want it to be systematically functionable. Like, so these are some of the things in Philadelphia we have to fix so that, like I told you that my mom left me a task. And the very last thing my mother said to me.
Oh my gosh, I'm on the edge of my seat for this. Anytime someone says, when my mother departed, she left me a task, and the very last thing my mother's like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna press my face up next to the screen.
Yes. So she said to me that it is time for my generation to fix the problems of the world and not expect and leave the issues to the next generation. She said, every generation says the next generation has to fix it. The next generation. She said, it is time for this generation to fix it and leave the next generation to improve it. Let's fix the problem. Let's fix world hunger. Let's fix world peace. Let's fix it all. And then charge the next generation to improve upon it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do my part to fix this litter issue in Philadelphia, to fix this illegal dumping issue in Philadelphia, and hopefully the world. And then I'm going to expect my kids to improve upon it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is my task. That is my assignment. And I promised her that's what I would do, and that's what I'm gonna do.
She didn't give you something easy, did she?
She did not, but that was never her. There was nothing easy about her at all. It was to be expected.
I'm curious, what was your perception of sanitation workers as a child, if you remember, and what was your perception of sanitation workers before you took this job in December of 2019? And has that perception shifted for you as well?
For sure. So as a child, it was they're lazy, they don't do nothing, they ride around in the truck all day, make buku money, make all this money, have great pensions, and drive Mercedes and Cadillacs. Right before I took the job, I had the same thing. I was like, I'm about to be one of them. I'm about to be doing nothing all day, throwing a few bags. I'm about to drive a Cadillac, about to have a fat pension, making all this money. And literally, first day of orientation, found out our salary was $31,000.
What? Oh my gosh. I thought it was so much higher than that.
So did I. So did I. And I was just like, oh.
You were like, hello, the Cadillac dealership. I will not be coming in.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, you can cancel that appointment. Literally $31,000. And then it was so dysfunctional, systematically just dysfunctional, just not knowing what's happening, not being able to communicate. But then it started, I started seeing that it's not just the job, it's the city, it's the politics, it's the administration. I'm just like, this is where it comes from. And then, talking about shifting my perspective, I was just like, they work hard, walking 12 miles a day, lifting bags of up to 100 pounds on each block, dealing with, the residents. I had a gun pulled out on me on the route, my route was in Kensington and Allegheny, so dealing with the opioid epidemic, needles and.
For those of you that are listening, Kensington, Allegheny is pretty far from the posh neighborhoods of Philadelphia. There's a very high rate of violent crime there and addiction.
Yeah, literally, I like there's an imaginary line, like tape around Kensington and I. Like it's just an imaginary tape that just has formed. But literally, like the amount of work, the amount of patience you have, the mental, I wouldn't say abuse, but the task, like it's so taxing, the mental, the physical, the emotional. You know, I lost my mom while at work.
Mm.
Like, well, she didn't pass while at work, but you know, I was working for the sanitation department,
While you were in that role.
and I was only allowed 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
And then after that, I asked for an extension. I assumed it was approved. No one got back to me, and then I want to say she passed November 1st. Funeral was November 10th. I want to say right around Christmas, New Year, I got a letter saying they've been considering me AWOL for the last 4 weeks. They were paying me the whole time though. I was still getting paid because
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
yeah, I thought I was on leave, but they're now right before Christmas, they're going to stop paying me. They're going to do all this, and then the city of Philadelphia opened up a ethics board investigation because they wanted to know where they wanted to make sure I used the money that I raised for PPE and cleaning supplies, and a bunch of other things. But what they said was that there was a possibility of a violation. I said, so what are the violations? And they was like, we don't know yet. You have to turn in all your information for us to find the violation. And the lawyer was like, so you want him to turn in stuff so that you can find the violation, but you can't tell us. So he hasn't done anything. They was like, no, not right now. All of that, dealing with my mother passing, explaining to my 5-year-old that she will never see her grandmother again physically, you know, like all of that. And that was my employer.
No good deed unpunished, as they say.
Yeah, so clearly my perspective and my respect for sanitation workers shifted tremendously.
Yeah.
Throughout my 14 months as one.
Yeah. How could they do that to Ya Fav Trashman?
Well, it's an ego thing. There were people on the job for 30 years and they couldn't understand or couldn't fathom the fact that this guy who's only been on the job for 6 months just was on the Kelly Clarkson show talking about being a sanitation worker. It didn't compute. It didn't make sense. It wasn't fair. They were calling me a scam and a finesse god and all this is, but this is all coming from higher ups, coming from the union. I have union reps saying that, you know, don't talk to him. He's this, he's that, he's making it bad for us. He's going to get you all fired. And I'm just like, how? How can I get them fired by shedding a light on how important they are? But it wasn't their idea. They weren't in front of the cameras. You know, that whole ego thing.
Do you think people felt threatened by you?
Oh, for sure. Because newspapers started saying he's the next streets commissioner, he's this, he's that. Ya Fav Trashman for mayor, city council. Like, for sure, people were like, wait, you're getting too big for your britches. Even recently, someone, you know, I heard through the grapevine that they said I was too radical. I can't be controlled, all of these things. And I'm just like, but the funny thing is their last contract that they just signed, sanitation workers got a pay bump. And
that's amazing. That's amazing.
I'm not saying I had anything to do with it, but
it's great. It's, you know, maybe now they can go to the Cadillac dealership.
not even.
Probably not yet.
Let's start with a Subaru.
Let's start with a Subaru. So I'm curious to know, there's been this amazing journey that you've been on, an evolution really, that you talked about in terms of finding your voice. And then when you found your voice, learning to use your voice. Can you talk to us about that journey of finding and using and amplifying your voice and what that's been like for you?
Sure. So my whole life, I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never wanted to work for anybody. I always, I've had 19 jobs and I'm only 32. So that I've always had an issue with what I say, fitting myself in someone else's box. I've always had an issue adjusting for someone else. And, so when that's me searching for my voice. 19 jobs is trying to figure out what works for Terrill. What's this? What's that? Like, how do I shine the best and the most with what I'm doing? Love what I'm doing. How do every day I wake up? How can every day I wake up and be Terrill and be happy and make money, and still be an impact to community? And
I mean, that's the question for all of us, by the way. Sorry to interrupt, right? Like, how do we wake up, have some money in our account, and be happy? That's the sort of question that everyone's asking themselves right now. And there's so many people that are so miserable because we feel like we're choosing between
yeah,
being chained to our computers and Zoom meetings and overwork and overwhelm and burnout and sustainability or financial solvency. So that is the sort of fundamental question of the day, which is like, how can I be financially sustainable and be happy? I love that you're asking yourself that.
yeah. And so when I started Ya Fav Trashman, I just the joy and the peace was something I've never felt in my life. Just the literally, I can tell you the moment I woke up and it was like, I get to do this because I want to and not because I have to. Game changer. Total game changer. All my life searching for my, like you said, my voice, my purpose, my impact, my imprint on life, on society, on my children, on my family, on my surroundings, on my friends. And it was through trash. It was a simple act of picking up trash. And I say this all the time that, when I talk about self-love, it's about saying yes, even when you feel like you should say no. So when they reached out to me in 2019, I had applied for the job in 2017.
Wow.
I was on a list. I was number 782 on the list. Imagine if I would have said, no, thank you. I don't want the job anymore. But to me, it was a humbling experience to tell people I'm leaving programs director. I was a programs director at Salvation Army Croc Center, and I had already left, and I was doing demolition, and I was like, maybe it's do demo, maybe it's real estate, maybe I was always, already on this journey, and in the middle of that journey, I was like, I'm gonna go pick up trash for a living.
One man's trash is truly another man's treasure.
And that's the name of my nonprofit. The name of my nonprofit is Trash to Treasure. I literally found the treasure inside of me through trash.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And then to answer the rest of your question, once I found that voice, I realized that other people needed to hear it. My story and how my background and 3 kids, divorced, all that stuff. How, like you say, how do you wake up and still push? How do you wake up and still be resilient? How do you wake up and still flourish? And it's just like, I get to dictate my success. And that's one of my key things. I will never allow someone else to dictate my success and navigate my happiness. I will never give that power to anybody else.
I love that.
Yeah.
I get to dictate my success
And navigate my happiness.
and navigate my happiness. And that's a game changer.
It literally, and now, not only is it a game changer for me, What do you think my kids are thinking about now? So now my daughter starting a nonprofit at 10, to feed the homeless. And now my son is like, okay, I want to play basketball, but is there other things I can do? Sure. You can get sponsorships, you can get contracts, you can do this, you can be a spokesperson, you can do. So now everybody has that mindset of dictating their success and navigating their happiness.
Mm. And isn't that what your mother asked you to do?
Literally.
To have that intergenerational transmission of working to fix the problems of today and then inviting your children, our children, the next generation to improve upon what we have fixed.
Yeah, literally. I work in seasons. My manager, she is the type of person that will read the whole manual, learn how to fly, and then think about jumping off the cliff. So we're a great combo because I'll push her, and then after I push her, another time I've jumped already, and she's learned how to fly to come get me. you know.
I love
But
it.
yeah, but I always say I work in seasons, and we have words of a season or affirmation, and we're just in our season right now. We're in obedience, discipline, and consistency.
Mm.
Every single day for the last quarter of the year, I'm going to be obedient, I'm going to be disciplined, and I'm going to be consistent in any and everything I do. And she's done the same thing. So she works in higher ed at a college, but now she started her own nonprofit, and she's going through and we're just really just building off of each other and bouncing back and forth. And then her friends are starting to be affected, my friends are starting to be like, and we're seeing like this mosh posh of just shifting going on, and it feels so good. And I'm in different circles now, like I get to talk to council people and state reps and be invited to this and that, and then I can bring her with me, and then she gets to be herself, and then everyone gets to take, and then we all elevate. That's my thing, take and elevate. You got to take the moment, you got to take the space, you got to take the opportunity, and then you got to elevate.
I love that. Take and elevate.
Take and elevate. Because
Take and
nothing will
elevate.
be given to you. Even things that you think are given to you, you earn. And I've learned that. Like, people are like, oh, such and such reached out to you. That's just, oh my goodness, just so. And I say, I am blessed. But they reached out to me because of the work that I've done that they've seen. If I didn't do that work, they wouldn't have saw it. Perfect example is the book. The children's book was out there, the Kickstarter's out there, but I reached out to Billy Penn and it's like, hey, can you do a spotlight? Can you do this? Can we work something out? And they wrote a spotlight about the book. The literacy agent saw the spotlight, saw the article, and then she reached out. And that's how it all happened. What if I said no to doing the article with Billy Penn? So I had to take the opportunity and take I had to take the resource that I had and elevate it to something else. Like I have relationships with a lot of media here in Philadelphia. So I had to choose and take the opportunity and say yes to myself. And then so the work you see, or the blessing you see of me getting a literacy agent, you didn't see the 2 and 3 months of work of pitching it to other reporters. And I say Instagram is a bunch of highlights.
It's a highlight reel.
Yeah, but every picture that I have, all 400 pictures, I can tell you the work that's behind the picture,
right?
Or the video, or the article, or the statement, or you know what I'm saying? And that's to me, that's why I just love you so much and your message about. Because literally, I'm a dancer and theater person. It's literally just showing up and deciding that no matter what, I'm going to put one foot in front of the other. No matter how I feel, no matter what I'm going through, no matter the circumstances. My mom always said, control what you can control.
Control the controllables, as Stephen Covey said.
That's exactly. Control what you can control. And if I can control what I can control in a manner that is mentally healthy for me, emotionally healthy, physically healthy, you'll start to see the mosh posh grow. You'll start to see things line up. And so people look at me like, oh, you're old. Like, I think it was Jay-Z or Meek Mill, like, the overnight success took 30 years.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm 32 and you see this, oh, your fave trash man. I'm the same person. Like, some people separate your fave trash man from Terrill. They're the same person. So if you like your fave trash man, you like Terrill. If you don't like your fave trash man, you don't like Terrill. But there is no, oh, your fave trash man is amazing, but I don't know about Terrill. Like, they're the same person.
You don't have an alter ego. There's no Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde here.
Literally, but I've been your fave trash man since birth. Now, have I been always able to articulate him? No. Have I always been able to, show him, or as I say, like, parade him around, or have I always been able to, give you an example of him? Yes. There's been flashes of your fave trash man in my past life, but now at this age and at this moment and at this time, everything has led up to me to be full on Terrill as your fave trash man. So it was always in the works, but I had to keep showing up to, there are no losses. There are only lessons. I had to keep learning those lessons, keep making mistakes and learning from mistakes.
Sometimes the hardest person, actually, I think oftentimes the hardest person for us to show up for is ourselves.
Yeah.
And you talked about that being an act of self-love, keeping our promises to ourselves, showing up for ourselves. We are so often the ones that we put last on the list. We're so often the ones that we say, no, it's okay. I don't have that. I'll do it later. I'm not worthy enough. Or enough, all the things that are bound up in that. And so one of the things that I love about your message is this sort of call to action around showing up for our auditions, not giving up on ourselves, and being willing to put our life purpose and the exploration of becoming who we're becoming at the forefront and the center of our lives.
And don't get me wrong, I just learned this.
That's okay.
Growing, I just want to be clear for the record. I always thought like this. It took some therapy, it took some conversations, it took certain people coming into my life, my manager being one. I give her a shout out. But I had
and a whole lot of trash. You had to sort through a lot of trash.
And a whole lot of trash. Yes, like I have in the last 2 years have shifted into this theology of my life, but I've always felt it. Like, again, I just didn't have the words to articulate it,
Yeah.
But now that I have it, I'm never letting it go. I'm never going back to the old ways. The new ways are not even the new ways. This new discovery of me, this discovery of what I'm capable of, and this discovery of I don't have to be anybody's expectation. Can I just read you a great quote that I read?
I would love that. Heck, yes.
And it has been resonating with me for so long, and it's only been like a week, and I feel like I've known it my whole life. It says, you won't be free until you rid yourself of others people's expectations. When I say that, like, I was like, oh, that sounds like a tattoo.
Sure does. Sure does. I've seen different posts and things on social media that say something similar to that I really like. And typically it's this particular one that I've seen is geared towards women. And it says something like, things you shouldn't wear after 40, other people's expectations.
Literally, it does not look good on you.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
But like, just, and then knowing there's a billion of old Terrells out there in the world.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, don't catch it at 32 like I did. Catch it at 25.
That's right.
and watch how much better you'll be, you know? So
Imagine if we could save everyone from those quote unquote fashion faux pas, right? Other people's expectations, not a good look.
literally, and I mean, I tell it to my kids all the time, like, you are you. There's only one you. Be the best you can be. Be the best you can be. That's all that matters. I mean, like, of course you have expectations, but they're not unreal for your children. Like, I expect you to go to school. I expect you to do well. But I don't like, my daughter plays soccer. I don't expect her to make the women's Olympic team by the time she's 16. That's unreal. But if she says that's a goal, I'm for sure gonna help her push towards it. But on her pace, at her pace. That's the other thing about just, expectations from other people. It's at their pace.
Right.
I do not want to walk to anybody else's music. I'd rather walk to my own. And I literally, the peace that I have, being able to having the privilege to resign in February of this year and still have money in the bank and still create opportunities and still grow my brand and I still, talk to academia and be a voice, be a pillar, be a pusher, be a barrier breaker. Transparently, there aren't a lot of African Americans in sustainability. There are some, there are a lot, but I'm learning there are not. We're the minority in that field, and I'm like, let's go, let's do it all. Let's do it all.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think fewer African Americans or Black or brown people are in sustainability?
Well, I have a theory, and I don't know if it's right.
I have a theory too.
Okay, so my theory is systematically, culturally, and economically, we don't have the opportunity to care about the environment as much because we're so under resourced, we're so underserved, we're still catching up that when you ask a single mom of two kids who's working two jobs, are you going to do a cleanup on Saturday and clean your neighborhood? Or are you going to go to work so you can feed your family? You're going to go to work. So to me, if we can close the gap on resources and close the gap on raising these zip codes and communities above the poverty line. Like at a certain point, people were like, just get them to the poverty line. I'm like, no, we need to be above the poverty line. And we can get to a point where we could take 14 zip codes that have the highest gun violence in Philadelphia, get them jobs, get them expunged, get them food, get them great a school district, get them great education, and shift their whole environment. We would see an influx of African Americans and brown people. Brown people sound so bad. I don't know why I just said that, but brown and Black communities and zip codes in the sustainability field. We would see an influx. Like I just did a pitch for my app down in Florida, and I was the only African American there. Everybody else was a marine biologist and a this and this. And I learned about coral and seaweed and kelp and this and shipping and carbon. And I'm like, hey, this is a college dropout here. I did a year at Coppin State, dropped out, and I am in this circle pitching alongside these other people. And by far, I had the best pitch to myself. And what I was saying. And everyone was just like, wow. Like even the person was like, we need to create a category for you. And I'm just like, there's no PhD behind my name. There's no MBA, no MFA, no ABC, no nothing. Just Terrell.
Just Terrell. Just Terrell.
So,
Gosh, I have so many more things that I want to ask you about. So many elements. I know we're coming close to the end of our time.
I know I can talk to you for hours.
I could talk to you for hours. This is fascinating. It's fascinating. And I love how you talked about, you didn't quite say it in this way, so tell me if I'm, overindulging on sort of putting words in your mouth or being concise here. But I think it's important for us to highlight that although sustainability is of critical importance, it's also a luxury.
It's
And there's
most.
lots of people, it's a privilege, right? And there's a lot of people who are at the poverty line, below the poverty line, people that are just surviving, right? And sustainability is about thriving. Sustainability is about thinking longer term about the world and our impact and role within it. But if a single mom, to borrow your example, is just thinking paycheck to paycheck, not just, but thinking paycheck to paycheck, putting a meal, it doesn't mean she doesn't care. It's just that she doesn't have the bandwidth.
Yeah, she doesn't have the opportunity. And you literally, I say all the time, I don't ever want to survive. I want to thrive. I want to go from, I want to take these zip codes and these communities from survival mode to thrival mode. And literally what you just said is exactly it. Sustainability is the thought of the long term. If I don't even know how I'm going to survive in the next 6 months, how can I think about the next 6 years?
You can't. And we make a mistake sometimes of thinking, well, this person or this community doesn't care
Right.
about sustainability. That's an assumption that I think people make, when in reality, oftentimes it's not that people don't care, it's that they don't have the resources to be able to get into that mindset of thriving because they're focused on surviving.
You did not put any words in my mouth. You actually said it better than I did.
It's a collaboration. We're working together on this.
Sure. And then, like, even this is my other issue. Like, then you look at elected officials in those areas and go, like, they elected you. How is this neighborhood still poor? 5 council people, like through 5 council people, this one zip code is still poor. So none of these council people had a game plan or a strategic plan or anything to get this zip code from survival to thrival. But the council person got paid.
They sure did.
Got paid.
Yeah.
They did what? One cleanup a summer, one summer, and just showed face. But because they have a certain letter in front of their name, D or R, we just go ahead and vote for them. So today's election day. So that's a whole nother thing about. It's time for us culturally to start vetting these candidates. And I need to hear your game plan. And if you don't knock on my door and I don't know you, I'm not going for you. Because I don't even like saying the word politician, because that's like politicians, you feel like it's a separation. They're people and politicians. It's real like this. That's how they make it. We're like this. You're a person in a position of power. And you're supposed to be moving in a way from my good, from my betterment, fighting my fight, talking my talk, bringing my issues to the forefront. And that's where it gets forgotten a lot.
That's powerful. I wanted to ask you, last question, and then we'll go into a little bit of a rapid fire to wrap up our time today. We talked about the 5 practices of particularly resilient people, and that's research that I've done over the last decade and a half around what are the particular behaviors and practices that really support us in terms of navigating the inevitable challenge, change, and complexity that we face in our lives. Was there a particular practice that, as you thought about your experience, your resilience, your journey through challenge, change, and complexity, was there a particular practice that stood out for you?
So I was supposed to pick one, and I had 3, and now I still have 3. I'm going to go with the vulnerability.
Tell us about that.
I think for me and my truth, the more vulnerable I am, the easier it is for me to just be raw, be out here, not worry about what people are thinking, not worry about how people are feeling. And I'm able to show up for me because I'm acting in my true self. I'm not pretending to be anybody. I'm not acting. I'm not, I'm not, trying to run with the Joneses. I'm being me. And that has to be me 24/7, 365. I have to be real with you. I have to be real with me. If I'm lying to myself, I'm gonna lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
So the more vulnerable I am in these moments where it's so uncomfortable, when it seems like I could just, not even deal with it. But the more vulnerable I am and the more open I am, I think it allows me to then articulate it to the next generation. As I'm able to articulate it to you, I'm able to tell you my thought processes and my how I'm figuring out and my strategy because I'm being real with me. And I'm being open, I'm being honest, I'm being transparent, I'm being authentic. And it helps me get to the next step.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Writing the children's book, I am not a great writer. I am not good with words. So I had to be vulnerable and be like, I need help.
Yeah. I like to say when it comes to vulnerability that the three most difficult words to say in the English language, I believe, are I need help.
You're right. And I still struggle with asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
I still struggle with asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm at a place now in my life where me not asking for help will could yield a really bad um, scenario later down the line. If
Yeah.
I don't ask for help now and I'll try to get to this goal, I may never get to it because I didn't ask for help.
Right.
There's another quote. They say you can either get paid from the decisions you made years ago, or you can pay for the decisions you made years ago.
Mm.
I'd rather get paid for the decision. I'd rather get paid 6 years from now from the decisions I'm making now versus pay for them. So yeah,
Amen.
I live my life in a bunch of quotes and affirmations. That's now. I'm gonna put that on the record. Now I do. Now I do. I'm in my elevation, and I'm still growing, and I'm still learning, and I'm still maturing. At 32, and it's a constant learning process. It's a constant being a sponge. There's been times when I've been in rooms and I've been the poorest person in the room,
Mm.
and I was excited, like, oh yeah, time to tap everybody's brains.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Let me ask you this question. If I came to you and I said, Terrill, I need your help, how would that make you feel?
Oh, I love to help people.
Right?
And see, here's another thing. They always say, the game is supposed to be sold and not told, right? That's what they say.
Yeah.
But I counter that and say the opposite. Because, for instance, my project team that helped me with my book, Empowerment, her name is Paris. I've rung her 4 different clients already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People were like,
Mm-hmm.
how did you do it? How, like, your process was seamless. It was May and then it was September and you had a children's book. Like, who does that? Like, how? And so, but what if I was like, oh no, you got to pay me for that? That is stopping someone's elevation.
Right.
I believe in karma and I believe in energy. Why would I, like, on purpose, like, why would I directly integrate myself and impede on someone's process and just be a wall to someone's elevation?
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't want nobody to do that to me.
Right. Well, and this in my mind is the fundamental sort of disconnect with help is I need help, I believe are the three most difficult words to say in the English language. But anytime someone's come to me and said, I need help, I love it. I get so excited. I feel so honored. And so it's like, I've really been shifting that paradigm in my mind from when I say I need help, it's a burden to someone's going to feel excited, just like your response. Someone's going to love to help me. And I'm giving someone the experience of feeling that way when I have the courage to go to them and ask.
But also, you give them the opportunity to use skills on you. So someone asks me for help, I then have the opportunity to work on my leadership skills, to work on this skill, to work on that skill, to see it through, to be an accountability buddy. And so now I get to do all of these things for someone else. And then when someone else gets to the point where I'm at, they may be able to take me even further. You know, it's like, you know, it's funny. I say that like about dating sometimes, like, you know, you be looking for this certain type of person, this certain type of guy. And it's just like, you know, what if what you're looking for is not what you need? What if you need this type of person and you two are the key to each other's success? Because you have this pre-mindset and this you know, this picture already lined out of what this person looks like, you'll miss the key. And every key that you try won't fit because you haven't gotten to the point where you just like, hey, I actually might just need to do this thing right here. And then you both unlock each other's success.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Oof. That's a powerful, you both have the key and you unlock one another's success. That's a powerful moment for us to transition into rapid fire.
Let's go.
You ready?
I'm ready.
We need some music. You said you couldn't sing. I don't believe you.
I auditioned for Spider-Man on Broadway. I made it as a dancer, and my vocal audition was so bad that one of the judges put her head down and laughed. Yep. Yep. That's what I knew.
Well, this is the first time that I've done rapid fire.
Okay.
So I'm so excited.
Breaking barriers.
Woo! Let's do it. All right. So don't think too much about each one, kind of whatever comes to mind. So I'm going to start a sentence and I'm going to ask you to complete it.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. The person I most want to be proud of me is?
My kids.
Oof. I'm going to try harder to
be more methodical and actually like learn how to fly first before jumping.
I like it. Life is too short to
not enjoy the present.
For my next chapter, I'm letting go of
things I can't control.
Boom. At this point in my life, my biggest turn on is
my biggest turn. Wait, what kind of turn are we talking about?
I mean, it could be anything.
Okay.
I could be like, you put gas in my car.
My biggest turn on is mental health.
Ooh, I like that.
Someone mentally stable, emotionally stable, physically fit. Let me put that out there too.
Also, ladies, he said physically fit.
For the record.
Let the record show. Due to personal reasons, I'm going to be
quiet.
Ooh. And last one, my best quality is
definitely my personality.
You're not wrong about that.
Definitely. I like to tell people I'm a vibe. I am a vibe.
Also the red glasses. I mean, I'm just saying.
No, I'm a little stylish. You know, I'm short, I'm 5'5", I'm bald, so you know, I got to work with what I got.
Ladies, he's 5'5".
I do work out.
All right, well, Terrill, Ya Fav Trashman, what a pleasure it has been to spend this time with you. Please tell us how folks listening today can connect with you, learn more about you. I know you've got your glitter app, your Ya Fav Trashman on Instagram. Where else can we find you and connect with you?
Yeah, so I do have a website, yafavtrashman.com. It's going to be under construction in a while. But then my nonprofit, Trash to Treasure, Inc.org. that landing page is just up. I just got certified in September. So got my IRS papers for the nonprofit in September. So we are ready to hit the ground running. And of course, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram is at Ya Fav Trashman, YAFAV Trashman. And then I just want to do a shameless plug and say
That's Trashman with an S, by the way.
yes, Trashman with an S. I want to do a shameless plug and go. I have 14 days left for the pre-sale of my book. And you can find my book on Kickstarter.com and just type in the words in the search bar. I'm cool too. Two with T. I always do this. Two with T with two O's. That's a tongue twister. Two with two O's.
Two with two O's. Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, I'll be saying something else. But yeah, Kickstarter.com. I'm cool too. And just if you can just pledge or donate a book, it's going to be really fun. It's just going to be I'm so proud of the book and where I think it can go and how many children are going to learn how important sanitation workers are. I'm just so excited about this project. And also getglitterapp.com so you can learn more about the Glitter app.
Love. I love that you have connected glitter and litter. You're a man after my own.
Perfect. And that wasn't even me. That was my business partner, Morgan. She was like, yeah, we got to call it something. I love glitter. Don't litter, make the city glitter. So I'm just happy to be a part of the project, be the megaphone for glitter. And we think it's going to actually help clean the city. Because if people don't know, real quick, Philadelphia was voted the dirtiest city in America by Forbes magazine in 2020.
I did not know that.
So my campaign is to get to 0 litter by 2025.
Let's go. 0 litter by 2025. Well, Terrill, Ya Fav Trashman, you're number one in my mind, number one trash man in my heart.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for this time with you today. It's been such a pleasure, and I've learned so much.
Oh, well, I've learned so much, and I can talk to you for hours. I feel like maybe you should send me an invoice because this may count as a therapy session. But, I've had having opportunities like this to talk to people such as yourself, it makes it all worthwhile. And I appreciate the opportunity for you to have me and come talk to you. I don't take it lightly. I really
thank you. I've been so honored as well.